Welcome, everybody. Joe Tarnowski with ECRM here, and I have with me today Bethany Gomez, who is the Managing Director of Brightfield Group. And today we're going to talk about functional ingredients and supplements. And this is going to be based on some research from Brightfield's new platform called evergi, which uses social listening tools to find out what new and emerging trends are happening within the wellness space. So thank you so much for joining us, Bethany. And to get started, can you give an overview of the evergi platform and what it does and how it does it?
Sure, absolutely. Well, thanks for having me, Joe. It's a pleasure to be here as always, and to give you a little bit of a sense about evergi and kind of how we're coming at this market. As you mentioned, we really cut our teeth in the CBD and cannabis space, and as we have been researching and analyzing these emerging markets, we found that the best way to get a 360 view on a market that is growing and emerging very quickly and identify those trends before they crest is to take this holistic 360 degree approach to the market in a multi-source methodology. So leveraging the same methodologies we've employed to look at the CBD space and the cannabis space, we're now applying those same technologies into wellness. So what that includes, and some of the data that we'll cover today, is our dedicated social listening platform, which is capturing conversations around wellness that are being harnessed through our natural language processing to identify these new products and need states and functional ingredients trends, and identify how they're performing and cresting over time, as well as our consumer surveys. We've conducted a survey of more than 5,000 consumers around the country to really gauge their reactions and their wellness habits, their patterns, what's really important to them, what need states they're looking to solve for, and how they are using different products and ingredients to help them cope with the stresses of the pandemic and their everyday lives as well. So it's a combination of those different data sources, as well as our analyst teams really distinct view on trends as they emerge that we'll be presenting here today. Mm-hmm.
And I think it's really cool that you have a social listening tool, because there is so much content out there on social media regarding wellness and functional ingredients. And I know I just go through my Instagram feed at any time, and there's always something in there. People are talking about different workouts, different diets, different supplements that they're taking. So to be able to capture all that and use it to spot these emerging trends is really important.
Absolutely. And we kept hearing from clients, more and more that they would identify a trend after it was too late, right? There's already too many apple cider vinegar brands on the market. I missed it, right? How did I miss it? And, with this kind of dedicated social listening view, the goal is to be able to discover those new trends just as they're starting to crest, just as they're starting to come up, and be able to gauge those and really understand what consumers are saying. Just in this past week, we added in additional categories for Delta 8, for example, which is a big, topic on the hemp and the CBD side of things, to be able to really understand, listen in on those conversations. And we've identified that growth trajectory where the category has, those volume of conversations been growing by more than 65% over the past 3 months, right? So that type of a methodology allows us to be able to see those very new emerging trends, in a very rapid turnaround time frame.
Because when somebody finds something new, they can't wait to brag about it on social media.
Exactly. They can't wait to brag about it on social media. And, you don't want to wait months and months and months to get an answer on what this category looks like, right? Mm-hmm. So it allows you to really stay current in the moment of what's happening there. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So we can dig right in here and have a great deal of information that we'd love to share in here as well. Some of the findings are from the survey, which were really enlightening, for us. We'd love to share some of those findings in addition to some of those social listening, trends that we see kind of cresting in there as well. So one of the first things that I wanted to highlight here, especially with this, this vitamins and supplements crowd, this functional ingredients crowd, we in our survey survey of more than 5,000 American consumers, 65% agreed that functional foods and beverages can be substituted for medicines. So this is the mindset of the American consumer, coming in. They are really primed for this alternative medicine approach and more of this kind of holistic approach to, to products and new product types, and are really looking at, new supplements, new, functional products, functional beverages, and, as ways to be able to help, control those overall need states, which I think is really interesting as, as we look at kind of the landscape of products in the world that we're all right now. So something to definitely to keep in mind as consumers are looking to navigate and looking to adjust for those mood states and need states there. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you hear about that all the time. Different, like people talking about reducing inflammation. So it's like they'd rather eat these foods or take these specific supplements versus taking an ibuprofen or something like that, or to go to sleep, or even things like lowering blood pressure and things that people normally associate with a prescription. They're looking for natural ways to do that.
Absolutely. And, we've aligned this both with kind of that, that view of what are people looking to consume and why are they looking to consume those, and that need state of kind of that why, what are they looking to achieve with those products, I think is really important. So it's, with that lens that we took a look at what are some of those top functional ingredients, that consumers are really looking for. We highlighted in here some of our, our favorites, some of the most interesting ones that I think are coming up and trending. Certainly at the top of the list, we see a lot of those, those old standards and standbys there. Some of
not only that, immunity. Yeah, that's no surprise.
Exactly.
No surprise at all.
No surprise on the immunity standpoint. There's a lot of these products that are really targeted towards immunity. That immunity need state is certainly in the pandemic one of the top need states that people are really looking for right now. We see vitamin C, vitamin D, certainly very high there, but also a lot of these more disruptive products that are really starting to get into that same range as some of these top category captains there. So apple cider vinegar at nearly 14% of Americans consumers have reported purchasing those products within the past 3 months. So that's definitely an interesting area to identify there. Those products really started off in supplements and have been kind of fueling out into that overall functional ingredient space, and consumers are looking for that usage across supplements, vitamins, and functional foods and beverages category, with ginger not very far behind there also. That's another of those adaptogen based products that consumers are really zooming in and looking for. Collagen is another one that we've seen really across the the supplements and functional food and bev category that has been growing very quickly lately. That collagen is really becoming quite popular with those with consumers across different age ranges, particularly women, but both kind of the younger consumers that are looking to for help with their hair and nails, but also those older consumers that are really looking for that support from a bone health and joint health perspective in there as well.
Well, what's interesting with collagen, as far as collagen goes, is I don't know if you've seen this too, but I think a couple years ago people thought of collagen more for beauty, as a beauty thing for skin and hair. And lately it's been thought of a lot more for the joints. People working out, they have joint pain, because certainly what I've been hearing on social or podcasts and things like that is that in the context of joint pain and working out and helping to whether it's older people with joint pain or people that just exercise a lot and have joint pain from that. I've been hearing about it more in that context lately.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I think the Vital Proteins campaign with Jennifer Aniston doesn't hurt the
Hmm.
category in there as well. But there's definitely a lot of different applications, for it, and it's seeping its way across different product
Hmm.
categories. So that's definitely one that I'd keep my eye on there as well. Certainly that is about the same level there as from a food and bev standpoint as kind of the CBD and hemp extract, which is my favorite topic, to zoom in on there, as people are looking at that through food and beverages there. Some other call outs, I think are particularly interesting. Green coffee extract is one of those that I would highlight as an up and coming, category in there. Has extremely strong growth, via social media channels there as well. But people are really looking to boost energy and aid in weight loss as well. So some really interesting ones, popping up here. But what we keep hearing more and more about, via both social and, some of the survey data, really is adaptogens. So consumers, really zooming in on this, this adaptogen trend, of what those top products are that, that they're looking to dig in on. So we took that same graph on the left here and boosted that out just for those, adaptogen categories. So we can see those, the ginger, turmeric, ginseng, curcumin, some of those top ones in there. But a lot of these, there's a very long tail here with many of these top, adaptogens emerging that are particularly interesting for, for different consumer segments and age segments there. So, there's a lot of focus on mushrooms now. Consumers looking at the, that overall mushroom category, the chaga mushrooms, the rishis, the lion's mane, and things like that. So a lot of those, starting to pop up here, in that overall adaptogen category. As I was mentioning, they, really vary significantly based off of, by consumer segment, by different, age segments. So here we zoom in on some of those, those overall functional ingredients here, and how consumers are looking to use these by these different age segments. So if we zoom in here at the millennials, you can see they're heavily over-indexing on, those adaptogens there. They're looking for products that are provide that stress relief, relaxation. That's what, when we analyze some of the, the needs states, across different consumer segments, millennials are much, are looking for that stress relief, their relaxation. They have the highest levels of stress. Certainly being a parent in the middle of the pandemic has not helped that very much for many of those millennials, and Gen Xers there. So what they're really looking for is a holistic, a healthy way to be able to take that edge off. And so many of those consumers are not looking for, really not looking for, alcohol or vice products. They still know that they need to take care of their body, given the amount of stress that they're currently putting on it, but they want to take care of their body in a, in a holistic way there, not just have a vice that helps them mentally deal with it while punishing their body as a result. So
I think they have to stop taking everything so seriously too. That might help the millennials a little bit.
Absolutely. So we look here at some of these areas that they're heavily over-indexing for. Those, those chaga mushrooms, the magnolia berries, these cordyceps, astragalus. Some of these I'm going to totally butcher the pronunciation on, I'm sure, but ashwagandha and the L-theanine also are things that are heavily over-indexing, are things that people are really looking for, that, that energy, stress release, and relaxation are really important, to consumers there. So if we think of some of the more, the products that are more cutting edge, those millennials, Gen Zs are typically the, early adopters, on some new products and new kind of health and wellness, supplements, functional food and, and beverages trends. And as consumers get older, they have, a bit of a different, viewpoint, and maybe a little bit less experimental, in there. Some big call outs from the Gen X population, though. Again, we've been hearing a lot about lion's mane, that coming to the top of one of the ingredients that most heavily over index for those Gen Xer crowds. Some of the holy basil, moringa, and certainly another area, CBD and collagen, elderberry, show up pretty high in those areas as well. So heavy Gen X usage, for those consumers. But when we look at what baby boomers are using and what they're really attracted to, there's a lot there in terms of more things most people have heard of, right? These are ingredients that are a bit more familiar. Turmeric certainly at the top there. That's turmeric is really really popular amongst consumers across all age spectrums. But for baby boomers, this is an immunity boosting product. That which immunity boosting is very important for baby boomers, especially during the pandemic here. But it's an immunity boosting product that they've heard of and they trust, a lot more. That magnesium is another, really strong product that is helping baby boomers for those same, positionings. But there's, great deal of opportunity with younger consumers, for those same kind of relaxation, and sleep-based need states, in there as well. Omega-3s, calcium, vitamin D, probiotics, all things that we've, heard of in there as well. So a lot of interesting things as we, zoom in between different age segments. Everybody's looking at the world a little bit differently.
It's interesting to see the differences between one age group and another.
Absolutely. So when we zoom in here into, some of the social listening, we wanted to look at some of those, the all ingredients overall, and then look at some of those, those top adaptogen-based products there. So one thing I think is absolutely fascinating is, when we look at all, functional ingredients together, we do see CBD as the top functional ingredient in terms of overall share of voice. So this is derived from our social listening tracker in here. So that's very large, percentage of the overall conversation there, and continuing to grow. So that's driven both by consumers, talking about CBD, and increasingly talking about CBD, as well as brands who are really pouring their efforts into social listening, and their social media presence there. So we see a large volume of conversations, both from consumers and from companies, going into that lens. But other top categories, things that are trending, like the collagens and the gingers, coming up there as significant in terms of that overall share of conversation. But if we look into those adaptogens in particular, which again, there's so much growth in overall, we see that turmeric at the top, as being one of the kind of that dominant part of the conversation, with everything that's happening from an immunity standpoint. There's so much opportunity there with turmeric, and with these other products, all really kind of very tightly looped, in tightly connected in terms of the overall volume of conversation there. So ashwagandha is one of the more lesser known adaptogens, but is growing from an overall volume standpoint, and seeing some of the strongest growth there. Even products like holy basil, the Tulsi, are kind of gaining a lot of traction there from a social listening perspective as well. So if we dig in here, we wanted to do a little bit of a cross comparison here between that turmeric and goji berries, because they have they're both kind of some of these up and coming types of functional ingredients, or product types there. What we see is a pretty distinctive consumer segments there. So when we look at that turmeric base, they're more established in the market overall. About 11, almost 12% of consumers have reported purchasing products with turmeric, and but it heavily over indexes amongst baby boomers, as we were talking about earlier, particularly due to that kind of immunity support or anti-inflammatory properties in there. But if we zoom in and look at that goji berries, this is it's a well-known product, but it's certainly still a very emerging functional ingredient. So from an overall size of the market standpoint, significantly lower before, about 3% of consumers had reported, purchasing products with those products included, but it's heavily over-indexing with millennials and Gen Xers, particularly in that very high income segment. So, it's a good case study, I think, of looking at who, some of these products really resonate with the general population audience, or with more of that mass market, in which case that more traditional supplements, angle works really well, because those form factors are so appealing to older consumers. Whereas some of these other emerging adaptogens are much more popular through a food and bev type of category there, but those consumers are willing to pay a lot more for products, because they have a lot higher income levels coming in.
Yeah, and I know a lot of the content that I've read or listened to in respects to longevity, right? Generally an older crowd, and inflammation is mentioned so much as the root of so many issues. Whether you have insulin resistance or obesity, or it all comes down, it all results in more inflammation, and that's anything that will kind of help reduce the inflammation is something that's going to help with longevity. So I could see why the older crowd is interested in turmeric.
Yeah, absolutely. So, certainly that anti-inflammatory, consumers are really looking to reduce inflammation overall, right?
Yep.
Perfect. So here's a little bit of a deep dive into that collagen, space as well that we were talking about. So, we can see some of the different formats that, that those products are, and some of the different positionings that, collagen is really being used for. We can see how this, this product that really started out, more, as you had mentioned, in that, that beauty space or that beauty positioning, has really kind of spread out into so many different product types and kind of adjacent positioning. So, on the top left here, we have all these different, products that are still on that beauty, that hydration, kind of positioning, the vital proteins products, some of those, some of the hair and nails collagen gummies, from the supplement side of things, collagen waters, collagen pop. So we can see there's a lot of pink being used in the branding and positioning there from a beauty and hydration standpoint. That's very effectively targeting the ladies in there. But when we pivot over here to the second kind of group up here, we can see there's a great deal of these collagen products that are being positioned really well for digestive and gut health also, right? So this is another, again, that inflammation, or helping to support that digestive health is kind of an extension, reducing inflammation, is kind of an extension of that positioning that people naturally think about collagen for. But those products like, the bone broth or the, collagen gut restore, collagen powder peptides, those types of products are kind of a different type of positioning, but, something that resonates really well with consumers. And then we get down into what we were talking about before about that muscle repair, right? Those, consumers, and this is, certainly targeting a different audience than necessarily the hair and nail team, is a more of an extension or a wider breadth of consumers, that you're looking for there. And that can be both from a functional products, from a powder standpoint, from a beverages standpoint, from, more of a gummies and a supplement standpoint, but that does help with that workout, that recovery, that muscle repair, component, and then we get into these, product types on the right here, which are much more focused on, that overall joint health and targeting that different, consumer segment. So collagen is one of my favorite, examples to be able to look at that, hits different age segments, and in different kind of clean ways there, with different need states, while appealing, it's, very similar, products, the same functional ingredient there, but appealing to different consumers for different things there. So when we look at these, these health claims overall, we can see, here this, supporting gut health, that immune boosting, supporting heart health as being really at the top there for, for collagen, as well as certainly that, that hydrating, that, that hair and nails, that inflammation, energy boosting, etc. Eye health in there as well. So a lot of different claims that, that collagen products are really covering there.
Runs the gamut.
Yeah, runs the gamut, right? So, and collagen is one of the larger, ingredients and in products there. When we zoom in on green tea extract or green coffee extract, sorry, this is more of a new and up and coming, type of product that is resonating really well. Again, both across the aisle from that functional beverages space and in that supplements and vitamin space, in there as well. People are really looking for energy boosting, but are looking to kind of avoid that. That crash, right? So we see a lot of that, certainly in the coffee space with some of these products from Dunkin', from Starbucks, and those refreshers, but also, in that more of the supplements targeted towards weight loss here, green coffee bean extract, capsules, weight loss coffee, capsules there, the lean beans, coming in here, as well as for some other positionings towards more of that brain health and that that sports area there. So got some more of those those sports positioned, that X2 sports positioned functional ingredient there, as well as some of those additional products, and they're targeted towards brain health. So really kind of runs the gamut there. But that's another component that I definitely keep my eye on. I know certainly this year there's not enough coffee in the world probably to power all of the the very tired people, slogging through the world today. But green coffee extract is a way of taking that that energy boosting positioning that everybody is really looking for, and making it more more healthy, healthily positioned way of doing so than the energy drinks or the kind of an endless pile of coffee, endless line of coffee that a lot of consumers are really looking for.
Well, it's interesting how you can position the same thing for different use cases, as you could see right there with all the different angles: energy, weight loss, brain health, sports.
Absolutely. It's all about the branding, right? Branding and positioning. Consumers can use for so many different things. So, having those right formulations and those positionings, I think really resonates well with consumers. So, those are just a little bit of a sneak peek of some of the different, products and product types that we've identified, as kind of up and coming in that functional ingredients and supplement space. Certainly one thing that we, found while analyzing, the market overall is that, that products are most successful, and there's more products coming out that are really putting that need state first of what are you looking to achieve with your products, whether that's energy boosting or immune boosting or athletic support products, and putting that need state first, and then developing the product and the brand around that, right? Making it really clear to consumers how they can use these products. And, it really changes the way that, that brands, are thinking about a category, because they may be competing, a supplements brand, maybe competing with, a drinks brand or a CBD brand or, different, consumers, different brands across categories, because consumers are looking for their product for immune support, and they can get immune support from a wide variety of different, different activities. So, think to, consider that, putting that need state first, and looking at what consumers are looking to achieve with those products really leads to that, that best product design there. And immunity, relaxation, energy are certainly some of the top ones that we've seen emerging as of late.
And I think those are good to have as call outs on the packaging. You want it to really show, because I'm the same way. If I'm shopping for something like that, I want to know what it's going to accomplish. What is this going to do for me? And so it's important to call it out on the packaging in a nice, bold statement.
Absolutely. That was one thing we found in the CBD space, is that when, it's a challenging, category to operate in, because if you can't make health claims at all, on CBD products. That's one thing the FDA has been very clear about. But how do you communicate to consumers what your product does if you can't make health claims? And this is a challenge that, anyone in the supplement space is certainly familiar with as well. And, the key there, and what, has really been able to break through to consumers is to, be able to, not make those claims, but be able to identify those positionings that, and, make it clear throughout, your branding, and your positioning of how consumers should use your products, whether it's focus or relaxation or, or athletic support or, things of that nature. It gives you that, more of that clean positioning, so consumers understand why they're using your product, and makes you a lot more able to build a brand that's going to resonate really well with consumers, instead of be just another generic brand and just another generic positioning there as well.
Definitely.
So, definitely some really interesting up and coming, functional ingredients there. Some of the old standbys have been, gaining a lot of popularity, due to their immunity boosting properties. So that vitamin C, vitamin D, not new, but definitely growing, as a result of their, probably Dr. Fauci's plugs for them, if we're looking at it.
Well, it's interesting.
There.
Yeah, everybody always traditionally, would think of vitamin C when it comes to immunity. Not so much vitamin D until last year. Yeah. Then all of a sudden, it just got so much play. That's all you're hearing about. And I started seeing new products really emphasizing the vitamin D.
I think my favorite is there's at the protein bar around the corner from our office, there's a smoothie that's called the Fauci that has vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc included, and it's really designed to boost your immunity there. So
I love it. Nice. Perfect branding, yeah.
Exactly there, right? So a lot of old standbys getting a lot of additional, traction this year, but also some new up and comers. Definitely keep an eye on those adaptogens, green coffee extract, L-theanine, certainly also, up and coming amongst millennials. So some ones to keep an eye out for. But consumers are really overall looking for, healthier alternatives to, address their need states, right? This is something we've seen really consistently, has been picking up over time, consumers looking, to protect their bodies over the long term, kind of respecting and understanding that they can't continue to beat up on their bodies and expect them to perform over a long period of time. So looking for those healthier alternatives to help protect their well-being, their holistic body there. Since certainly there's a great deal of stress being put on bodies right now, and both mentally and physically. So, a lot of need there to proactively protect your wellness. So great opportunity in, both the supplements and the functional product space there as well.
Excellent. So how can our viewers learn a little bit more about the evergi platform?
Yeah, absolutely. Encourage anybody who has any additional questions to reach out, to our team here. They can reach out directly, through the links here, and we'd be happy to walk you through the platform and any of those new trends that are emerging through our evergi platform.
And it's evergi, evergi.co, right?
Yes, correct. Or you can also just come in through our Brightfield site. That's fine as well.
Great. All right. Well, thank you so much again. It's always insightful and fun. And I look forward to seeing you at the session.
All right. Thanks, Joe. Bye-bye.
Thank you.